Okay. All right, Bill. Shoot.
So I think that you all are pioneers. We're all pioneers on this platform and using this methodology because, when we look at the world, when we look at the globe, there is emerging this dynamic that's, from my perspective, comes from globalization. And so we see violence and aggression, we see Trump and Brexit and those kinds of things. Those are symptoms. And the question is, what do we do at the individual level, wherever we're at, to affect that in our own world? And to me, this chasing pigs exercise is awesome in terms of a practical, concrete kind of way to deal with real challenging situations we find in our daily lives. So I want to thank Allison, you and Pietro for all of the work you've done to make this time possible. And I just, and Camilla, Natalie, it's been so wonderful getting to know all of you in this very short period of time. And I feel blessed.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've gone after every session and I'm like, I have questions for everyone. I want to know more about what you do, and yeah, I think that it's something I've never seen done before, and coming from a dance and improv background, it was very cool to kind of get to do that again. And I also noticed how it's almost like exercise. Like if you don't do it, all your inhibitions come back. Realize how important it is, and the fact that you can do it over video, actually. And if anything, I think it may breed an outcome that you may not have in person, because everyone can see you and you can see yourself doing it, which you can't see yourself and I think that makes, I don't know, I feel more self-conscious than if I was just in a room with people.
Yeah, because you're seeing yourself back.
Exactly. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it may just be slower for us to open up sometimes. But in the long run, you're challenging yourself more than you were before. And I know that things like this, they've done things where they have people dancing in France and dancing in South Africa, and there was one stage, like one company dancing together. And I think it's amazing that this is going to spread into more of a, normal life kind of, but yeah, things that can be brought into everyday life and into our work.
Thank you, Natalie. Yes.
So, I've enjoyed this. The session one, I was very self-conscious. I was conscious of being on camera. I'm conscious that there's no downtime. There's no, like, if it's dark, can I take a sip of tea? Can't I take a sip of tea? So, but by session two, I'm like, okay, well, I've got my tea and I'll go grab a tissue because now I'm comfortable with you all. So, if you want feedback on this platform, I think the more people use it, the more they will create their personality and what they're comfortable doing and not doing. But if it's the first time people doing it, maybe you just, I don't know, have like 5 minutes of just orientating on the platform even. Would probably not eat into you, because I think some of our time was lost because we're orientating how it gets used, that type of thing. But I think that's just teething. The other thing that I sometimes feel that there's as much as it was so valuable going through all the stuff, but it didn't allow for a lot of like having all the time that we try and get this. Your time was quite structured because you have an agenda to get through, and where I think we would probably have a lot of value just in free discussions. So you could probably build that in a little bit going forward, especially like from what's happened from last week to this week, because I actually put in that asking for curious questions, and it made me more aware of when I wasn't listening or not listening well enough to the other person. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and it as much as the stuff I know, it's sometimes just a really good refresher to remind yourself that you should be doing these things. As Natalie said,
Yeah.
if you don't exercise that muscle,
Yeah.
yeah. But I enjoyed it. It's been great. Thank you.
Yeah.
What was the embodiment piece like for you, Camilla?
The embodiment, is that the using my body part?
Yes, and like gesture instead of words, and like expressing the emotion in the body, like today and the other times. Yeah.
I think it allows an expression because it takes the pressure off me to find the right words. Although sometimes I want to throw a word in, and the fact that we can throw a word in afterwards, great. But it also, especially when we were doing the gifts, because someone else was interpreting, and you got to give an idea. So I found that really valuable because it as I say, you're receiving a gift via somebody. I found that very useful. And also everybody's interpretation. It's like it wasn't wrong, and it mightn't have been what you want, but it actually became more right than what you were trying, if you tried to put it in words straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. All of that's very valuable.
Yeah, and the other thing I found is I personally feel that if I had to reflect and think on something, I'm aware that if someone's asked me that I'm having, you all looking at me waiting for me to answer, and I become totally self-conscious in that moment, and I have to say to myself, it's okay, just take a deep breath and think. But that was, for me, something like in a classroom, you just don't feel it as much, because even if the group turns to look at you, I don't know why it's different, but maybe it's because you're right in my face. You know, I can see myself in your face.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it can be quite an adjustment.
And I love.
And I don't know if that's an age thing. I mean, like the kids, you know, they FaceTime each other all the time, and they take horrible photos of themselves, you know, with double chins and pulling faces, and they're far more comfortable being watched.
Bill, Bill, you wanted to say something?
So both in terms of for the body movement, the body work, paying attention to that, particularly with someone who has lived his life in a lot of Mars energy, but I love my Venus energy, it actually allowed me to get in contact with myself in ways that I normally don't. And so for Camilla, when I was doing my visualization, I imagine it was really hard because I'm just not I'm just not used to using my body to communicate, use my mouth. So for me, this was really, really good. And also just Camilla, seeing you kind of, what is he saying, is wonderful feedback to me in terms of, because it's like, how do I visualize this? So this is learning a new skill set.
Yeah.
The other piece, and Natalie, I love what you said. It's like, oh my goodness, we get to observe